Hello everyone, and today we are back into another top 5 video, and we're going to be making the top 5 Weather Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. Disclaimer, I know there are only 4 Weather Loomians at the moment, but I will also be counting Loomians from the Egg Rain, and I will also be counting Loomians from the Cosmere event as well, just to add more variety. So with that out of the way, let's head right into this top 5. Number 5 onto this list is actually going to be Billoforge. Yes, Billoforge makes the top 5, and Billoforge has a lot of good with it. It has really good stats. It is one of the best mixed attackers in all of Loomian Legacy, while also having a really unique moveset. Kindled Rage doubles its attack if you get hit first. And when you combine that with Billoforge's 24 speed, it can definitely be utilized really well. And since it's a mixed attacker, it can hit Loomians on both sides, which makes Billoforge extremely dangerous. It also is a toxic type, meaning it can get rid of poison barbs, and it does have a lot of good resistances because of it. Now, there are a couple things that do hold Billoforge back. It is quad weak to Earth, which does make it struggle. Heat Wave isn't really a good weather for Billoforge, mainly because it's really slow, and that's the big problem. It's an offensive Loomian that doesn't have the best range defense, that's also really slow. It also doesn't have any recovery moves, meaning that you can't really utilize its melee defense to its full advantage. It's still a very solid Loomian with some very good stats and a very good defensive typing, but it overall struggles mainly because it can only take out 1 or 2 Loomians before it gets taken out itself. And that's why Billoforge is number 5 onto this list. Number 4 onto this list is going to be Cosmere Unleashed. Now, I only wanted to add one of the Cosmere forms on my list, and my list hasn't changed. Cosmere Unleashed is still the best Cosmere form, and it's mainly because of the Seergate ability. You could use Cosmere Unleashed with pretty much any Loomian in the entire game. If you have a Specialization Metatoad, and it gets KO'd, you could go into Specialization Cosmere, and my goodness, Specialization on Cosmere is way better than it ever is on Metatoad. You could even use Appetite on this, one of the most overpowered abilities in the entire game. You could also utilize other abilities like Total Eclipse, Rev Up, Ace. There's a bunch of different abilities you could run on Cosmere Unleashed, and that's the huge reason why Cosmere Unleashed is one of the most overpowered Weather Loomians in the entire game. Now, it is out of the top 3. This could be the most unstoppable Loomian in the game, but there are a couple things that do hold Cosmere Unleashed back. Just like Billoforge, it has a very low range defense, so it does die on the range side relatively easily. And while it does have healing moves like Beast Slumber and Setup like Peace of Mind and Bulk Up, it doesn't really do that much to metal types. Most metal types can straight up wall Cosmere Unleashed, meaning that there are a lot of walls for Cosmere, and that's why it does stay out of the top 3. Number 3 onto this list is going to be Dragodile. Dragodile was part of the Easter event Rain Weather, the Egg Rain, and this thing is still an extremely overpowered Loomian. Draco Beam, anomaly. Is there anything else to say? Yes, its speed may be slow. Yes, this thing may have gotten nerfed, but this is still one of the most overpowered range attackers in all of Loomian Legacy. After one Draco Beam and anomaly, you can pretty much 2-bang any Loomian in the entire game. Yes, it's that strong. And even though it has a very slow speed stat, it pretty much outspeeds most of the tanks besides Stratosaur and El Iguana. This thing hits extremely hard. It hits like a truck. And its defenses are high enough that it can actually live neutral hits pretty well. But it doesn't live super effective hits as well, unfortunately. And that's the reason why it got its defenses nerfed. Because in the past, it can usually live at least one super effective move if it's not from a Loomian that has a high attack. Now, it pretty much dies to any super effective hit, unless it's like a weak hit. So that's why Dragodile has dropped for me personally, but it's still a top 3 Loomian, and it's still one of the most overpowered Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. It definitely deserves to be in the top 3. Number 2 onto this list is going to be the Ludrix. People might be shocked that the Ludrix is higher than Dragodile, mainly because it has a lower ranged attack, and also no defense whatsoever. But while it lacks in defense and attack, it makes up in either coverage or utilizability. It has Zip Zap Pivot. That is huge. It has Zip Zap pivot, which is awesome for it. It has some really good abilities as well, like shakedown, meaning that you could scout the opposing Loomian's item. You have awesome coverage. You can pretty much hit anything neutrally in the entire game. You have Jetstream to hit brawler types. Bug Water can pretty much hit anything, and of course Zip Zap can hit Stratosaur. You can even run Thunderstrike if you want to hit a little harder. The Ludrix hits like a truck, and while it doesn't hit as hard as Dragodile, it's a lot faster. And since it has pivot, it's a lot easier to use, and it's a lot easier to cause some dangerous situations with the Ludrix. That's why it's higher than Dragodile. Does Dragodile have better sweeping potential? Yes. Can Dragodile absolutely destroy any team? Yes. But the Ludrix gives us way more opportunities to do damage, and that's why the Ludrix is higher than Dragodile, and that's why it's number 2 on this list. Honorable mentions on this list, and honorable mention number 1 is Whippledrift. Whippledrift is definitely very good, but it definitely struggles with a really bad offensive typing. Although it is a very solid Gale Force Loomian, and with Tempest, its speed boost can actually be used as damage in return, which is actually very unique. I still have to use the Tempest Whippledrift to see how it does, but overall, it's a very solid Loomian, but it falls just short of this top 5, unfortunately, and it only deserves an honorable mention. Honorable mention number 2 is controversial because it's Wintrix. And yes, Wintrix is not a Weather Loomian. I know. The only reason I wanted to make this an honorable mention, though, is because I could see Wintrix as a Weather Loomian in the future if they added a Snow Weather. That's the only reason I added it onto this list. If this was on the list, it would probably be number 5 or number 4. It's very overpowered with the Wise ability, but it's not a Weather Loomian. So that's why it's an honorable mention, and it doesn't belong on the list. The best Weather Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy is, of course, Turonics. The best Loomian in Loomian Legacy. No doubt. This thing is the definition of overpowered. Frost Beam coverage, light attack. It has Magnify, Light Speed Ray, has good range defense, has a good range attack stat. This thing can do everything. It can be used as Lamp Purge as a pre-evolve form and be dangerous. You can run a defensive Turonics with Spite. You can run a Hazy Shroud version to disable the abilities of every Loomian. And since you're a Spirit type, you're immune to your own attack, which is awesome. Not to mention, its secret ability is insanely OP. If you KO a Loomian, you gain HP back. This thing is overpowered. And it's even better if you defeat a Light type. Now, that is Turonics' biggest flaw, is that it doesn't beat most Light types most of the time. But if you are able to defeat that Light type, you get 50% of your max HP back, and that can be extremely dangerous. Especially if you combine Turonics with Barbs, you can get 1 Magnify, and then bang, you sweep pretty much any team in the game. It does have a low speed stat, so yeah, it does struggle with its speed stat, but it kind of counteracts it when you have Light Speed Ray. And even better, has the best defensive typing in all of Loomian Legacy, is immune to most priority, and it only has 1 weakness to metal, and that is it. Turonics is the best Loomian in Loomian Legacy, and it's by far the best Weather Loomian in the entire game as well. Here it is, Turonics, the best Weather Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy. What are your top 5 Weather Loomians in the Loomian Legacy? Tell me in the comments below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This one was definitely a very hard list to make. And I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!